Hello everyone. This is the story of the Halloween Candy Cauldron version 3.1. This is my third annual um, try at the Candy Cauldron. Let's go back to the history. 2 years ago, in version 1, I had a Arduino Uno and a circuit and a breadboard and a Seed Studio SD card shield that fit on top of the Uno. And that worked fine, and that was good. Trouble was the circuitry was all out in the open, and aggressive candy trick-or-treaters would reach in and grab wires in addition to candy. Plus, it didn't look so great, so I had to play with that a little bit. Version 2, which was last year, I got a bigger cauldron, so there was more space to deal with. And my intention was to use a Pro trinket and put the thing in an enclosure. Well, that's kind of what version 3 turned out to be, because I never got the trinket to work. When I picked it up again this year, I realized there was a wire that in a place that it didn't belong, and sure enough, it worked. So that was a stupid wiring trick. My next idea was let's get it on a smaller circuit board because I still had it on a breadboard, and I found a supplier that had circuit boards that matched enclosures, which I thought was a great idea. And it turns out that with I'll take the total blame for this, although I really think that the circuit board could have been more solder friendly. Anyway, I had a little difficulty with the soldering. The soldering pads, solder didn't stay in the soldering pads as much as I'm used to. So I'll take the blame. Stupid soldering tricks. So it took me a while to get it working. I really worked the connectivity function of my multimeter, but that was a fun, a little frustrating, but a little bit actually ultimately rewarding experience, and I got the thing going. Finally, I put it in an enclosure, and you will see the final results. There's a photo of the final results in the enclosure on the blog post. But what you will see in the following videos are two videos. One is version 3 on the trinket, still in the first enclosure, and then version 3.1 in the other enclosure, so you can see everything working. Please go to my blog, virtualmachine.blogspot.com. You'll see a citation in the closing credits, and we'll take it from there. I hope you enjoy it. This is Halloween Candy Cauldron version 3.1. There will be a version 4, but that's next Halloween. Thank you. All right, everybody. Here we have the Halloween Candy Cauldron. This is kind of taken apart. This was version 3. You see that mess of wires in there in the box. I didn't like that. I needed the box that big because I had a breadboard in there. You see the green speaker, that's the smaller speaker. Over here, you see where I'm going with it. Well, in this one, that's a 5-volt Pro trinket on the left there for a microcontroller with a 5-volt regulated circuit and an amplifier. Over here, got the same thing. I've got an Arduino Pro Mini knockoff. I decided to switch to that because it's a little bit smaller. I'm going to put this on a circuit board, but I wanted to prove that it worked. There's the Adafruit Class D mono amp. That's my 5-volt regulated power supply supplied by the Adafruit variable wall wart over there. And that's a micro SD card reader right there. So that's going to be the final version, and this is how it works. It's connected to the big speaker, so it's kind of loud, but let's see how it goes. There you see it starting up. Now the green light says the power's on. You see the... Now what's interesting is you see that blue light flashing. That's just an indicator that shows when it's asleep. I was playing with interrupts and I wanted to put this to sleep while I was waiting, but as you can see, it sleeps for a short period of time. Put my hand in, makes the noise, and the blinking light really is the same. And the reason is that I put the interrupt on the only external event that I have, which is somebody putting their hand in, which means when the echo pin either goes low or high, it doesn't make any difference which way I specify it. Right now it's low. It's continuously ranging, so it's always going back and forth. I'm just the only thing that's triggering the sound is whether the distance is less than 8 inches. So if I go over here, it doesn't sound. If I'm in there, you get a sound, or more than one sound. Some of the sounds take a little longer and it's reverberating a bit, so the ultrasonic sensor picks it up. Anyway, so there you see it. My next move is to take these components over here, solder them to a PCB, put them in an enclosure. I will add back the regulator circuit, which you see there. The sorry about that, we'll turn that off. The 78 to 5 voltage regulator and 2 capacitors, which takes the 9-volt battery down to 5 volts regulated, which I can then bring into the VIN pin or the VCC pin on the micro. So this is in process Halloween Candy Cauldron version 3.1. Okay, here we have the latest version of the Halloween Candy Cauldron. Look down inside here. You can see the improvement. It's in a smaller enclosure. I've got the Pro Micro here with the female headers for programming with the FTDI board. The micro SD card reader, the Adafruit Class D mono amp, and the enclosure has a place for the battery. And here is the voltage regulator circuit to get from 9 volts down to 5 to power the micro and also the other components. We have the HCSR04 distance sensor, and we have over here is an Adafruit 1.5 inch small speaker instead of the other speaker that I got out of a clock radio. It's not as loud, but I can enclose that one in the enclosure. So let's flip it on. So you can come on the and then. So it's not as loud as it used to be. What you can't see is that that blue LED is flashing when it's sleeping, and it's not sleeping very often, and the LED is not very bright, but it does work. That piece does work, and all that's showing is that it doesn't sleep for very long, so I need to think more about the sleep process. The top of the enclosure is over here. I made some holes for to let the sound out, for the speaker will go right under where those holes are. There's a hole there for the wires to go to the HCSR04 sensor, and a hole over there where the battery connection will go out. So the battery will go out to the switch. So the only external things we have are the sensor and the switch. That'll make it tidier. There, flip it off. See if I go off there. So I'm happy with this. It took a long time. We had some stupid soldering tricks to get it down to that little board, but I got it done, and now I'm going to enclose it. And next year I'll have a functioning candy cauldron. We'll get another cauldron next year, and won't have that speaker on it, and I'll tidy up the wires and all that. But in the meantime, this works. Yay.